Because ain't nobody paying that kind of money for
okay
90 something Impala unless it was the one Tupac got murdered by.
You'll see.
Oh lordy lord, boys, we got a mess out here. Old carpet, new carpet, boys. We are demoing today. Today is demo day, as you guys can see. My brother Julio's here. Give me a hand, man. We got this thing torn apart. We're gonna end up putting sound mat in here, get this thing soundproof, and new carpet, by the way. But we're working on AC today a little bit. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, I know we left you guys last time when we were still working on the firewall. We were doing still demoing underneath the dash. We got obviously the condenser and the heat exchanger. You guys remember that? That looks good. We put that back in because, as you guys can see, we got a little fresh coat of paint in here. That way everything looks good once it goes back in. But I want to show you guys what I got going on underneath here. You guys can see I got holes cut out already for all the AC lines and heater lines, and then we even got this hole right here as well for our wiring for our valve. Now another thing I do as well, you guys see this bracket up here? What I do is I just take this little small L bracket and bolt it up in here in the fender wells, and that'll allow your lines to hang out up here. That way they don't droop down when you guys are running the lines up to the engine bay. All I did was reuse a hole here. Actually, this hole was already here. We just drilled it out one size up, and then we put this bolt through it. And then this guy, we ended up making a new hole for that bracket here. So we've got two brackets, one on the front, one on the back, just to kind of hold the lines up so they're not messy. If you guys are interested in the video though, I kind of walked through that step. I will link it down in the description below. But let me show you guys what else you guys get from Vintage Air when you guys are doing this AC. Obviously, you'll have this valve here, boys. This valve here will basically open and close as you use your heater. So this is the 5/8 line. You're gonna need a 5/8 and a 3/4 for your heater lines. Only crappy part is that Vintage Air does not supply you with the hoses. You gotta go ahead and get your own hoses. So we went up to AutoZone, made a run. We got about 12 feet of hose, 5/8 and 3/4 that will run. And this is the actual lines that comes from Vintage Air for the cold side of stuff that we're going to be running to that guy. So you'll have two AC lines that'll feed into here, and then two heater lines. Now the inlet always is the 5/8. If you guys don't know that, 5/8 is always the inlet, and the outlet's 3/4. So you'll have on an LS motor, you'll have obviously an in and an out, and just remember that inlet 5/8, outlet 3/4. Another thing, you guys are going to need this guy here. What I do is I drill a little hole right here down at the bottom for that wire. You're going to have the harness that comes from Vintage Air, this guy right here. You're going to end up having wires that feed up to the front of the car / battery. So you have power and some ground wires that'll come up through that, along with the connector for that guy there. That'll feed through there. So we'll feed it through here and then feed it through that center hole that's down here below. And that'll get those wires up to the front of the car. Not to mention, you're gonna need I believe there's an extra wire as well that you're gonna end up running for the actual AC for your TRINARY switch. So you keep that in mind. Just like I said, always drill a hole out in the underneath the cowl there so you can run wires through it, and they're nice and tucked away. You can't see them. But another thing I use is this little foam here, this little Noiko foam. It's actually an insulation for the car, but I use it as a foam gasket. What I'll do is, you guys can see I've already traced this thing out, traced it out, cut it out. We'll put a foam gasket so that way it kind of seals that area. So this will go like something like that, you know, it'll have a gasket and it'll go all the way around. I'll show you guys here inside when we get to the inside of the car. So here's the inside of the car. Obviously all your hoses are going to run through this duct right here, and that's what that plastic piece is for. And then we'll end up putting the foam around here. That way it creates a nice seal.
Sold for 50.
Well, it must have been tits because ain't nobody paying that kind of money for 90 something Impala unless it was the one Tupac got murdered by.
You'll see.
You guys are a bunch of fools. All right, guys. So I'm gonna put this AC box in real quick, but the one thing I don't like that Vintage Air does not supply or hasn't done anything about. They have these basically these barb hoses that go on these fittings. Basically they go on, but they're the same size, and when you got two different size radiator hoses, that doesn't make sense to me. So what I've done here, I took a piece of hose, and it's just a 1/2 inch hose, put it over this lower one, which our 3/4 is going to go over. But when you put the 3/4 over this regular barb, it's loose. So I kind of put this builder up hose kind of thing. So what I did is I took that and I reamed it out with the 1/2 inch drill bit. Took my 1/2 inch drill bit, reamed it out of the inside, I should say, so it actually went in a little bit easier. And then took my torch and heated up the barb fitting and then pushed it on. And that kind of got it on there. So now when that 1/4 inch hose goes on, it actually fits snug. So that way it seals better, I guess is my theory. But take that with a grain of salt, boys. Let me know if that works out for you. But let's go ahead and slap this in. We're gonna go ahead and connect our lines as well to the box first. You want to connect everything to the box first and then feed the lines up and through the cow. So let's get to it. We got the AC box now. We got the lines already mounted. I went ahead and mounted the top one here, and then you want to use this like insulation tape that they provide from Vintage Air, along with the bottom one down there. And then we have our 2 heater lines also run up. But you guys can see what's kind of going on here is you kind of have to start feeding them all together at the same time. It is a pain in the ass. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. We even have our wire already as well fed in there, but you're gonna need a hand. I really would advise some help on this one because it's a pain in the ass. It really is. It just makes it, all those 4 hoses, and they don't move very well together. And you have to remember, you're coming in and you're going like this, like it's not a straight shot. So this is what it looks like from the back side. And then we got the wire obviously coming through the middle up there, but that's why we made those brackets up there. It'll tuck nice and neat. But let me see if I can get I gotta find my brother. We're gonna continue feeding this thing. Once I have it fed, we will mount it on the firewall. I don't know if you guys seen the video, but I made a video where we mount the AC box without any bolts going through the firewall. I'll link that in the description below. But in this particular situation, I actually just welded some studs. This one's a little bit of a different setup. I welded the studs on the actual firewall before we insulated it, so you guys can see my stud. I got one there, and those will bolt up here. I had to actually mock this in, level everything out, but that way it'll look like it's floating without any bolts, obviously, because we got the smooth firewall now. Let me see if we can get this thing mounted up, and then we'll work our way towards the front of the car, maybe connecting a couple of those lines so you guys can see what's going on. Finally in, pain in the ass, guys. You're definitely gonna need a hand. This thing is not friendly when it comes to putting this lines into this cow duct. It is a chore. It is probably the worst thing that you got to do when it comes to this Vintage Air. It took me a little over an hour for sure with my brother helping out. It's a pain in the butt, but everything is mounted. The back is mounted. Oh, that light does not like the camera. Sorry guys, but in the back it's mounted. The top is mounted. Everything is secure there for the most part. We got the line secure down here. We also have our relay also pre-ran in the middle there. If you guys can see, that guy here is for the valve. The valve is the one that opens and closes, that'll run in line on the other side. I'll show you here in a sec. But you want to make sure you run that. What I do is I tape it. When you run this line here, these cables to the front, you want to tape that to that side so you can fish everything through. It doesn't come with this package. It's in a separate little small package. You can't forget about that. But what I'll end up doing later on, once we're ready for it, I'll end up mounting all these relays and breakers in here. I'll probably shorten this wire down because they give you too much length. I mean, they give you all this length. Really, a lot of people put this in the engine bay. I don't like to do that. So I'll probably mount this in here somewhere. But like I said, I'll cut this down, cut it all the way down, trim it, and then this will all live in this kick panel right here once it's all good to go. But we are going to end up having to replace floors, boys. I mean, I'm not going to do it. I don't have the time to do it, let alone I don't have the experience, honestly. So we're going to send it to a buddy of ours. You guys can see what we discovered. All bad, guys. Look at this. This is all bad. Somebody did the old patch job with fiberglass, and that ain't gonna work, especially all around that. Look at that. That ain't good, boys. Not good, but the AC box shouldn't be an issue. We can leave that mounted, but let me show you what I got on this backside here. So we have our lines right here on this backside, as you can see, along with the cable and everything ran. A little bit of oil there, guys, because it is a pain in the butt to feed those lines through. You guys can see lubricated them up a little bit, but that line right there, that cable I left so you guys can see, that's the cable that runs and plugs up to our valve. And you guys see the valve up there? I'll show you guys here in a sec. But then you have that little small connector right there that it connects to, and then you'll have a white ground that comes off of it. You have to ground as well. And then the rest of the cables, the white and the blue and the red, are in that black wire loom, and they'll feed up to your battery. You guys see it? That valve, like I said, it's got to go on the 5/8 line, and you got to make sure the arrow is facing inward, so it's going in. Make sure you guys do that. Our valve is good to go there. Everything is nice and tucked, and we don't even have any fender wells in. It looks freaking good. You can't see anything till you get obviously here. Everything lands here. Those are those cables we were talking about. And then you have there's 3 lines here, because 2 of them are the heater hoses. Well, you'll run your LS motor shit right here with the heater lines, inlets and outlet. And then you have this one big AC line, and that'll run straight to the compressor on this side, hopefully. And then you have the one line that it also comes in from the inside, and that guy will land just like that. You'll have a fitting here, or we're gonna end up having to crimp this on. I do have a crimper for that. If you guys are interested in that, I'll put a video down in the description below where I show you how to crimp those on. But that'll line there. Then you have one more line that actually comes off the top of this condenser. But Vintage Air gives you 2 options. You got this line here that runs all the way down across and then back in here, right? Depending on how you route your lines. Now I have it set up like that just for mock-up purposes, but we might end up changing that, because they give you an additional line. Instead of going down and around, you can go here and then back through here. So you're just gonna have to drill this out a little bit more. So you have this line and then one more line sticking out here, and that line will be the line that connects to the compressor, because you'll have your high side and low side. So like I said, we'll leave that for now the way it is until we figure out what else is going to be here. I don't want to do that because, remember, we're supercharged, so we're going to have more lines coming out of here. So if we have too much going on here and that other line would probably be in the way, I don't want to have that issue. I'd rather come around and then back over if we have to. But as an option, we'll keep that in mind. You guys should keep it in mind as well, just depending on if you guys are not supercharged or not. But we'll just go from there. But I think for the most part, our AC is almost like done, other than the fact we got a trinary switch here as well we got to add. If you guys are interested in how to wire a trinary switch, I'll put another video down in the description below for that. I've already made a video on that. What else, guys? I'm trying to think of anything I might miss out or leave out, I should say. That way you guys have all the information you guys might need. But I think we're gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna go ahead and continue on and clean up. Like I said, we're gonna end up having to get this car over to the shop to figure out that floor situation. But man, this thing is looking good. We got our AC lines ran, condenser good to go, vintage box inside good to go. Like I said, we have one more line here. That'll be for the compressor side once we have the engine in and everything else in. But looking good, guys. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any questions, once again, put them down in the comments below. I'll try to answer them on the next video. But guys, you already know, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the bell for notifications, and stay wrenching.